Yeah. 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 Hey. Hey. Morning. Hey, Mina. How are you? Auntie Mina's here. You want to say hi? Yeah, you want to say hi? Morning, Mary. Morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Morning, Jen. Yeah. Good head lifting. Excellent head lifting. Yeah. Yeah. Look at our sockies. We got little green socks on. Yeah. Keep our feeties warm. We already got a filtered comment. Ugh. It's one of those days, I guess, Jen. It's one of those days. Just one of those days. It's probably something totally normal by one of our people. None of the bad stuff ever gets filtered. That's just the stuff from our people. Yeah. Yeah. Are we falling asleep? That would be great. That would be great. Let's fall asleep. Let's fall asleep. I was gonna sing the good morning song, but let's not do that. Cause it's sleep time. It's sleep time. We sleep. Hooray! Hooray! Sleep, sleep, sleep. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. She is asleep. Oh my goodness. 8:32. I gotta remember to mark that. 8:32. Hey, Liz, can you text me 8:32? She fell asleep. You got a notification, Amanda? That's amazing. Let's see if she stays asleep. But for now, she has fallen asleep. So I don't forget. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. Wow, lucky mommy. How lucky can one mommy be? How lucky can one mommy be? I tell you what. Why do you write down the times that she falls asleep? Oh, because I like to keep track of when she slept so that I know if there's any outliers in her behavior. Yes, I do, Liz. You're right. Wait, what did Nina say? I've been having to watch on YouTube. Oh, yeah, it's happy to have you here. Yeah, so because she's an infant, I write down what time she eats, what time we change her diaper, what time she sleeps, and how long she sleeps for, and how much she eats, and all that stuff, just to know. You know, I like to be in the know, and that way, if she starts to get overtired, I'm like, man, why is she so cranky? I'm like, well, she hasn't slept in 3 hours, you know, and then I can kind of know, because I know she's getting so big. You tracked all that today, Heather. Yeah, I probably won't track it forever, but for right now, while she's still so little, it's really helpful for me because she's not really a crier. I have to tell you guys, this baby doesn't really cry very much. Like, you guys have been on book club, like, how many times in the history of book club has she actually cried? You know what I mean? Not just made like a little sound. Like, she makes sounds, she wants to talk to us, but she's not a crier. You know what I mean? Hey, Amber. Oh, you're at the doctor. Is it like good doctor's office, just like a monthly checkup kind of thing, or are we sickies? We'll upload it, Amber, so you can catch up on the book. But if she does cry, I'm like, wait a second. Oh, clogged eye. Oh my gosh, best of luck. Let us know how that goes. Oh my goodness. Great input. I have a pediatrician. Yes, it's really good. The pediatrician's always like, how many diapers a day? How much is she eating? And then I have that info. So, you know, it's always good. It's always good. But she is out right now. I can hear her. She's like, are you sleepy, girl? My sleepy, sleepy girl. She does love the rainbow wrap, though. And She's been up since 7:30, so it's time for a little nappy naps. Yeah, little nappy naps. We struggled to fall asleep yesterday and last night, so this was nice that you just fell asleep so easily, huh? So nice. She's very much starting to imitate faces, which is really fun. And like, especially in the morning when she's up and she's in a really good mood, I go like, ooh, ah, and all that, and she totally does it. She's such a super, you really are her. Oh, thank you. You know what, I take no credit for her amazing temperament. Because all babies are different and they all come out in their own way with different vibes, and they're all perfect, but they are very different. Like, I mean, so Secret Husband's brother has 4 kids. And I will tell you what he said, and he is a very wise person to say what he said with his 4 children. It was only about the first 2 because he was figuring things out still, obviously. And he said, when he had his first daughter, their oldest, who is, she's actually almost 13 now, so this was a while ago. But when he had his first daughter, he ended up being a single dad for a while, which is very, it's not the norm, right? But also, like, it takes a little bit more effort with a little girl, right? Especially a 13-year-old, all that stuff, whatever. Anyway, she's not 13 and he's not a single dad anymore. Do I understand cut my hair and sides about? Ooh, I wouldn't cut my own hair. I'm not smart enough to do that, but if you're good at it, do it. So he has this daughter and he's a single dad, and he was like, you know what? This isn't that hard. We're rocking and rolling. Of course, he needed help with some things, and Secret Husband's parents helped him with a lot of things too. But he felt like he was rocking and rolling, right? And then he had his second daughter many years later, and she was not as easy. And he looked at everyone and he said, oh, I wasn't just the most amazing dad in the world. The first child was just a really calm, really easy baby. And he was like, I stand corrected. I thought I was just a rock star dad. Turns out I'm just a normal dad, and she's a rock star kid, So, I take no credit for this child's easy temperament. She is who she is on her own. Hi, Jonathan. Yes, that is Hi in Dinosaur. You know what? I actually knew that. I don't know if you know this, Jonathan, but I have been learning different languages, and one of them definitely is Dinosaur. I'm also learning Baby, so I'm trying to, learn other languages. But I did know that Roar was Hi in Dinosaur. Roar is goodbye, so yeah, I learned that too. Yeah, I think that's pretty normal with the second. Yeah, everyone's saying the same thing here. So that's funny. My mom says the same thing about me and my sister too. And you'd never know it now as adults, because my sister's a totally normal adult, but she was a wild child, and she was a lot more effort as a baby than I was. It's pretty funny. I never heard Ron said I'm a full cry until he was around 9 months still. It's pretty funny. I never heard Ron said I'm a full cry until he was around 9 months still was mine. Yeah, she doesn't really cry fully either. Like, yesterday was the first time I heard her like cry. Honestly, I'm just going with the I'm an amazing mom. Well, but here's the thing, Liz, you have no proof to the contrary, right? And I probably won't either, because you're only having one child. And if we only have one child, we have no proof to the contrary that it's just that we're amazing moms. Yeah. I'm okay, so she's resting her head against the ring of the ring sling, and I'm sure it's not uncomfortable. It's a pretty soft little ring, but like part of me is like, oh, do I readjust her head so she's leaning on me and not the ring? But then I'm like, do I risk it and wake her up? Like, risk it, biscuit, you know what I mean? But like, I want her to be laying on me and not the ring. Just a second. it's just a smidge over. There you go. There you go. Exactly. We're amazing moms with good kids. That's right. I was my mom's third kid. Surprised she had another. I was a crazy kid. She had a fourth one, Jen. Yeah, I just leaned a little bit. She didn't wake up. We're okay. We survived it. So yeah, it was like obviously all babies have a thing. Like my mom says that I liked, especially in the beginning, to eat every hour and a half. It was obviously cluster feeding. She didn't know it was called that back then, but like, you know, hey Lindsay, and all that stuff. And I have such a four kids is a lot. Secret Husband's brother has 4 kids, but you know what? Their fourth one, the easiest of the bunch. Probably because she was brought into a household of crazy people. You know what I mean? Like all those crazy other children in there. And she was like, I better be easier. What incentive do they have to keep me? Not true. No one thinks that way about their children. Their children are wonderful. But like their 2 middle children are wild. They're wild. And they're too old. The oldest and the youngest are like, la, 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 la. You know, so it's pretty funny when you think about it. Pretty funny when you think about it. Hey, quick question before we get started, and I thought of it because Lindsay getting on here. Who has, besides Liz and I, finished the Hunger Games, and who is still in it? The new Hunger Games book. I finished it last night while I was packing orders. I mean, can we just give Suzanne Collins all the awards for everything ever? I mean, like, okay, I've heard it said before. I've heard it said that she's the best in the world. No, sorry. That's really funny, Mary. I did find it. I did get the audiobook, Amanda, and I loved it. I agree that she deserves. So this is what this is funny. So I follow this woman named Gina, who was a former literary agent, and now she does, like, what would you even call it? Editing. She's an editor now for independent. She like does independent editing, but she also like has a Patreon where she does like tips and tricks on how to write your query letters and things like that. She's amazing. I love her, blah blah. But like sometimes she will say, don't do XYZ, whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what the thing is. Let's just pretend. She says, don't do blah blah blah. And someone will comment and say, yeah, but the Hunger Games does blah blah blah. And she responds every time and she says, you don't understand. Suzanne Collins is the exception, not the rule. Like, you know. Songbirds and Snakes is worth it. Sunrise on the Reaping is worth it. The whole thing. So, like, yes, Suzanne Collins does break rules, technically, in her novel writing, but I don't care. I don't care that she breaks the rules because she's phenomenal at it, and if you can be that good at it, no one cares. Like, here's the thing. There are so many books where there's like the one, you know what I mean? You guys know what I'm talking about, the trope of the one. Hey, Anya. Anya, I packed up your orders yesterday. They're going to the post office this morning. The trope of the one really annoys me a lot of times because I feel like it's so overdone, and when it's done in the style of what's the one with the vampires? What's the really cheesy vampire book that was popular when we were all young? Help me. You guys know what I'm talking about. The Skin of a Killer, Bella. Twilight. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Wow. That was really hard for my brain. Do you guys see how I haven't slept and I don't know anything anymore? I forgot the word Twilight. That was bad. That was really bad, you guys. If you use the trope of the one in the way that Twilight does for Bella, it gets annoying for people like me because you're looking at her and you're like, why? What's special about this girl? You blank too, okay, great. So you're like, what's special about it? There is something about the way that Suzanne Collins continues to do the one trope, and it never feels forced because her characters are not the one based on some magical intrinsic like, oh my god, everybody looks at her, and exactly, it's so different. It does not feel tired with her. It doesn't. And I think, you can correct me if you disagree, but I think the reason that Suzanne Collins in the Hunger Games chosen one trope does not feel tired is because it's never
just, so like in Twilight, it's never explained. What is it about Bella? Why are these guys falling all over her? They describe her as very plain, and then everyone's like, oh, Bella. You know what I mean? Like, wait, first of all, we named her Bella, but she's plain. That's weird, right? I mean, like, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, oh, okay, we're gonna name her Beauty, and yet she's plain. All of this stuff. When it's in the Hunger Games, it's usually situational that makes them the one, not something about their appearance, right? And just like Lindsay said, they're not trying to like be fancy pantsy, you know what I mean? Like they're just trying to live their regular old lives. They're not trying to be famous. They're not trying to be this, that, or the other. It feels a little more Harry Potter. It is natural. Yeah. We're good, Lauren. How are you? This is a very exciting week for me because Secret Husband is taking one of his paternity leave weeks this week. So that means that I have hands, which is exciting. So this is going to be a great week for me, for Slime Lives, for all of it. I know, she's sleeping so perfectly. So we better read before she wakes up, right? But anyway, I just wanted to talk about the Hunger Games book in case anyone had or hadn't had either finished it or hadn't decided to read it yet. If any of you have not read the Hunger Games as a series, all right, I'm gonna lay this out on you guys. I'm just telling you, I would actually be totally, oh my gosh, it's great, right? It's such a creepy book. Hey Mom, I would be totally willing, if you guys wanted to, after we get through the next book of his, to reread the whole Hunger Games series as a part of what we do. Will you please read the Wicked book? You know what? I've read Wicked and it is not TikTok friendly. Wicked is not a book I could read aloud on TikTok without getting multiple violations. It's a good book. This is not me saying not to read it. I just know it's not something I could read aloud on this account without getting in trouble. So, because it has some stuff in it that is not live friendly, if you will. But that doesn't mean that it's not good or that I don't think it should be read. It's just not for this, you know? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I think. Yeah, it's intense, inappropriate for lives, but a good read. I read it literally 25 years ago at this point. But yeah, just want to tell you all, if you guys want to do a Hunger Games reread through the whole series, I would do it. I would totally do it and like discuss them, because the thing is, I haven't read the first three since they respectively came out, which was like how many years ago at this point? I mean, 15 at least, right? Because I was living in New York in college when they came out, the original ones. Okay, well, let's do it then. So we need to finish this book, and then we need to finish the other book that we got of his, because I already got it. So we need to do that. But if someone reminds me when we're done with Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, we can do a Hunger Games reread, because, like, you know. All right. So let's read. We're almost halfway done with this book. So yeah. 2008 was the first one. Okay, so I was almost right. It will be a good spring summer read. Yeah, it'll be great, and we can discuss, like, you know, the whole thing as like a thing, you know. All right, chapter 15. Here we go. Page 153 for anyone who's keeping track of pages for like your Goodreads or whatever. Hey, book club. Yes. All right, chapter 15. Every time, Louise said. Every single time. I know, Mark said. One step forward, two steps back. You think this house is going to be a real windfall, and then boom, it's haunted. I'm talking about you, Louise said, backing away and putting some grass between herself and Mark. Every single time you tell me something, or I give you the benefit of the doubt, or I try to help you, it comes back and it bites me in the ass. Every single time. Whoa, Mark said. Last time I checked, I'm doing you a favor by giving you 25% of the house, which is not required of me by law, but which I am doing because I am a good guy. So if biting you in the ass means giving you a lot of money, then yeah, I am. You'd think I would learn my lesson, Louise continued. that being in this house is not good for me, that being here is not healthy, but you begged me to help you with paperwork, and here I am again, up to my neck in bullshit. And you and Mom really know how to play me like a pipe organ. I'm a 39-year-old woman, and I'm still falling for it. I'm pathetic. Well, what did Mercy see in there? Mark asked, looking back at the house. Mercy freaked because something fell over in the attic and there was air in the pipes and Mom and Dad's bathroom that made them bang, Louise said. No big deal. I know, Avery, and it's supposed to be 50 anyway. When she said it like that out there in the front yard, it definitely did sound like no big deal. I've never heard the pipes bang, Mark said. It happens in houses all the time, Louise said. Was it like random banging, or did it sound guided by conscious thought? Mark asked. It was banging, Louise said. Could it have been Morse code? Mark asked. There's a long history of spirits communicating by tapping on tables. Our house, Louise insisted, is not haunted. I've been telling you there's weird vibes in there, Mark said. I can feel it in my gut. Hey, Jack, Mercy felt it too. We aren't alone here. Yes, we are, Louise said. Methinks thou doth protest too much, Mark said. Quoting Shakespeare doesn't make something true, Louise said, and Mark's eyes got wide. I'm going to pause for a second. I'm usually on Louise's side, but I actually want to correct her really quick because I think quoting Shakespeare does make something true. Yeah, well, this is in, I think this is in Charleston, Jack, so, right around, I mean, it's not that close to Savannah, but close enough in the grand scheme of things, right? It's like, I don't know, what would you call that, a couple 100 miles? I've driven between the two, so it's not that far. Yeah, anyway. You saw something in there yesterday, he said, realizing that's why you ran out of there. Was it Mom and Dad you saw? Yeah, it's just 2 hours away. It's not that bad. Louise would not let this house be haunted. Everything had a rational explanation. You just had to keep looking for it. The squirrels she thought she'd seen, the noises in the pipes, the noise in the attic, the boarded up hatch, the Mark and Louise dolls, Pumpkin disappearing from the trash, the hammer, the cane, the car accident. Everything had an explanation. She learned that from her dad. The other things, the dangerous things, the dolls getting angry, the squirrels attacking her by themselves, and the bad vibes, all of that had been her mom. And Mark had been too close to their mom. Louise made her shoulders unclench. Look, it's an emotional week, she said in her reasonable adult voice. Old enough and sure enough people can, oh yeah, houses can have bad vibes, that's for sure. It's been an emotional week, she said in her reasonable adult voice. Go home and we'll call a new realtor in the morning. The second Mercy hears that we're talking to someone else, she's going to run over here and she's going to list the place. Mark shook his head. Look, I'm not selling the house, he said. You can lock up. He started trudging across the grass to his truck, and Louise felt an enormous rage expanding in her skull. He tricked me. He made me come back and get involved to expose me to all this, and now he's walking away? That is not fair. This house was the problem. They'd been children here, and they'd reverted to childish behavior the second that they came back. If the house was haunted, it was haunted by memories, by old fights, by Mark's unresolved stuff with their mom and dad. She was an adult. She had a child of her own. Her goal was securing Poppy's future, and she would not let this fall apart, so she took a deep breath and she went after him. Mark, Louise called, and he stopped on the other side of the truck and watched her come across the grass. The house faced east, so in the late day, setting sun was behind it, leaving the entire front yard in shadow. The houses on the side of the street behind Mark were lit gold by the late afternoon light. Hey, Isabella. Mark, Louise said, do you actually think Mom and Dad's house is haunted? Like, do you actually believe there's ghosts inside? Yes, he said. I'm trying not to insult your intelligence here, Louise said. I get that the house feels weird. It feels weird to me too, and what Mercy said plays into our emotional vulnerabilities, but ghosts don't exist. I can't sell this house, Louise, he said, shaking his head sadly. All right, then let me do it, she said. You don't even have to be here. Who do you think is haunting this house? Mark asked. It's Mom and Dad. Mercy said the only way to sell it is to get someone to banish their spirits, but where do they go? If we banish Mom and Dad's souls, what happens to them? Do they stop existing? I cannot be responsible for ending our parents' existence. Louise pressed her palms against the hood of Mark's truck so that she wouldn't clench them into fists. Mom and Dad are not ghosts inside there, she said. I'm going to let this house sit for a few years, Mark said. Maybe their energy will just disperse naturally. Louise couldn't hold it in anymore. Bullshit, she said. Bullshit. This is like college. This is like the deck. This is like every single project you've ever started and then you quit in the middle of it because it got too hard for you, when you have a fear of completing things or whatever it is that's been holding you back all your life. You made a commitment to me and to Poppy. I didn't know our parents were still in the house, he shouted at her from the other side of his truck. They're not. How do you know? There are more things in heaven and earth than dreamed of in your philosophy. Oh my God, don't quote fucking Shakespeare at me, she said. There are true things and there are false things and there are no in-betweens. There are facts like houses and car accidents and cremations, and there are bullshit like ghosts and vibes and exorcisms. And if you're starting to get all the true things mixed up with the false things, you're fucked. Mercy and I think this is true, Mark said. So does Aunt Gail, apparently, so you are outnumbered. Reality is not a consensus, Louise said. We don't all get a vote. Aunt Gail believes that the vial of water she got from the Jordan River cures headaches, so maybe she's not the best example. The sun setting threw a long shadow of molten yellow along either side of the house, but the front yard was fuzzing out and the air was turning a thick gray. The second you showed up, you started telling me what to do, Mark said. From the minute you arrived, you've been bossing me around, but the fact is I'm the executor, and I've decided not to sell the house. This is where we grew up. It's not The Shining. It's kind of Shining adjacent, Mark said in the gloom. If you could admit that, maybe you don't know everything, you wouldn't be raising Poppy alone. Yeah. Look what you're doing, Louise said. When you don't like the way the conversation is going, you deflect with personal attacks. You're like some kind of emotionally abusive octopus, entangling everyone in your word tentacles. Probate is rough in South Carolina? Yeah, I bet. You should talk to your therapist about your choices of imagery, Mark said. Pipe organs, octopuses, it's real revealing. I don't have a therapist, Louise said. That explains a lot. You're doing it again. I don't need relationship advice from a grown man who works in a bar and believes in ghosts. Says the woman with zero life, Mark said. The point is, you act like you know everything about everyone, but then you don't listen to anybody and you just talk at people and you tell them what to do. Louise's skull squeezed itself so tight that she thought it would implode. You promised me, she said, bearing down on him. You said you were going to sell the house and I stayed because I needed the money for Poppy. You don't get to change your mind in the middle of it. I know, right? The light had almost vanished completely from the street and everything felt cold in an instant. You got my key, Mark said. Don't forget to lock the back door. He opened the driver's side door and his interior light came on, and for the first time Louise saw how bad he looked. His eyes were wet and his face was bloated, and he was leaving because he couldn't handle their parents being dead. He was leaving, oh sorry, I just read that. He couldn't let go of them. She needed to reach him, so he got into his truck and he pulled the door shut. We all have missed you, Jack, being here, yeah. She remembered what she learned from her mom about manipulating children. She remembered the ceramic hot dog. Louise threw open the passenger side door and said, "Wait, don't move." She left it open behind her and raced into the gloomy house, ran down the hall, past the workroom, past the old bed, into her old bedroom, where she grabbed the huge ceramic hot dog off her desk. She heard the coins inside give a metallic shift as she picked it up. It was heavier than she expected, and it made her right shoulder groan and her wrist bend like it might break. She lugged it back outside and she dropped it into the front seat of Mark's truck. "Dad's hot dog fund," she said, a little bit winded from how heavy it was. So what?" Mark said, sitting behind the wheel. Sorry. Oh, are you going to be able to maybe come back, Jack? We would love that. "It feels pretty full," Louise said. "Oui," Mark deadpanned. "There's probably $15 or $20 in there," Louise said. "You know what that means, don't you?" It means that we have between $15 and $20, Mark said. "It means pizza Chinese," Louise said, because she knew that no joiner could resist pizza Chinese. Come on, Dad wouldn't want us to let... I don't know what this word is. I'm sorry. I'm having struggles because there's a word that I don't recognize. It's S-P-E-C-I-E. Specie? What's specie? Dad wouldn't want us to let specie go to waste. Stay for dinner. We'll do pizza Chinese and say goodbye to Mom and Dad the right way. whatever that means. I don't know. Her mom had lied to keep them away from getting a pet. Louise lied to Poppy to keep her from watching Paw Patrol on Sundays because that's when the characters sleep. And she would lie to Mark to get him to sell the house. I don't want to banish Mom and Dad's... Sorry, wrong voice. I don't want to banish Mom and Dad's souls either, Louise said, pulling on everything that she'd seen in movies. So let's have a final Pizza Chinese in the house and ask them peacefully in a spirit-loving way to pass on to the other world. We can help them understand that it's time to go and to walk into the light. Oh. Okay, well, see, there you go. I didn't know that. Mark considered the hot dog and then he looked up at the house and then back at her. And Louise kept talking, trying to remember an article she'd read about grief and healing. Pizza Chinese is our family's ritual, and it's as powerful as any cleansing ritual that Aunt Gail might do. We'll share our memories with them and remind them of our love and suggest that they no longer need to be tied to this place and that we'll be okay without them and that it's time to let them pass to the other side. Mark jingled his keys for a minute, flipping his truck fob back and forth across his knuckles hard, and then he stopped. I'm supposed to be the stupid one, he said, but even I know that you're not supposed to go back into a haunted house after dark. It's where we grew up, Louise said. The things here are just memories. They can't hurt us. I wouldn't be so sure about that, he said. But he didn't turn his key, and he didn't start his truck, and he didn't drive away, and she knew she had him. Oh. You just started a new book series? Oh yeah, what is it? What did you start? Yeah. Let's see how many pages the next chapter is, because it sounds like it's going to be a doozy. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see where Mommy can find it. Okay. The next chapter is from 160 to 169. I think we can do that. But Mommy wants to have a sip of coffee before we go to the next chapter. Yes, you guys are the fastest Googlers in the West. It's true. Well, some of you are in the East, but I'm in the West, so we'll pretend. Ah, coffee. All right, so the first book is called It's About a Girl Who Was Set Up for... Oh, wow. True crime book. Good stuff. All right, so I'm going to say something before we go into the next chapter. If they're going back into the house, I think this is going to be a haunted chapter. So buckle in, friends, because yikesity yikes, yikes. Here we go. Chapter 16. For their mom, nothing beat the stretch of holidays from Halloween and came to a climax on New Year's Eve with Pizza Chinese. That night, the Joiners hosted a party in every room. For once, their mom didn't cook. Instead, she and their dad ordered Chinese food and pizza, everyone's favorite, in enormous quantities, and it had become known as Pizza Chinese. Yeah, get your emotional support slime out. People packed into their house, wandering from room to room with a slice of pizza in one hand and a foam plate sagging with sweet and sour pork in the other. Their dad's entire department came, their mom's puppet friends, people from church. Mark and Louise invited their friends and hosted their own private parties in their rooms, and everyone stayed up until 3 in the morning drinking supermarket champagne that made their dad speak in a ridiculous French accent. I love that. It was the greatest night of the year. All the fun of Christmas, New Year's, and birthdays all rolled into one enormous party. Greatest foods. No joiner could resist its siren song, not Mark, and as a final farewell to the spirits of their parents, Mark went in to pick up their order while Louise fixed the dining room, trying to make the house look as non-haunted as possible. She turned on the lamps in the living room and 2 of them were burned out, and she couldn't find any spare bulbs, so she scavenged bulbs from Mark's old bedroom. The overhead kitchen light developed a flicker, so she left that one off and turned on the stove light instead. She turned on the chandelier over the dining room table, but only 3 bulbs still worked, so she couldn't find any more chandelier bulbs. Since she couldn't find any more chandelier bulbs, she grabbed the desk lamp from her bedroom and set it on the counter, which fixed the dimness problem and made the shadows in the dining room look all wrong. Somehow, she'd succeeded in making the place look more rather than less haunted. Succeeded in making the place look more rather than less. Finger. Some help? He demanded, and she took the pizza. Why do the lights look so creepy in here? He asked, slinging the bags onto the kitchen counter. It's just burned out light bulbs, Louise said as she started to unpack the food. It's really no big deal. The two of them did the dance they'd performed hundreds of times in this kitchen. Mark was grabbing plates, Louise grabbed the silverware. They reached over one another, sidestepped around each other, pausing for one to close a drawer before opening another cabinet. Finally, she grabbed a roll of paper towels while Mark squeezed around the dining room table and dropped into his chair. It creaked as he leaned back on two legs to rest against the wall, and Louise sat there and noticed that they'd automatically taken the chairs that they'd sat in their entire life. I'm so glad you like it, Liz. She had her back to the kitchen, and Mark had his back to the wall. If they were still alive, her mom would be sitting on her right at the end of the table closest to the phone, and her dad would sit with his back to the patio doors. Between them, Pizza Chinese covered the table. In the center sat a Luna Rosa pizza box containing a small black olive onion and green pepper pizza with extra cheese, Louise's, and beneath that sat another box containing a small Hawaiian barbecue chicken pizza, Mark's. I would take Mark's if we're being honest. You're lagging. Should I restart, or is it work if you go out and back in? It's better if you go out and back in. Okay, I'll wait if everyone wants to do that. Everyone who's lagging, go out and back in, and I'll wait a second. No problem. I can do that. Understood. You thought it was your internet? Yeah, no, apparently it's mine if it's everyone's having it. Or it's TikTok, one of the two. Interesting. Sorry about the lag, you guys. I didn't know. I'm just giving anyone who needs to go out and back in a second, and then we will... Okay, so just as an FYI, I would have wanted Mark's pizza, not Louise's, because it sounds yucky. The boxes were stacked because there was no more room on the table, with all the white clamshells displaying sweet and sour pork, fried shrimp, egg rolls, crab rangoon, General Tso's chicken, pork lo mein, broccoli and shrimp, chicken wings, and barbecue spare ribs. They'd ordered so much that the restaurant had given them napkins and chopsticks for 12 people. Yeah, that's probably true. It's probably TikTok's fault. Well, Mark said, raising his beer in his voice like he was addressing an audience, Mom and Dad, this is for you. We're here for a final Pizza Chinese in your house, and we invite you to attend because we love you, and we want you to enjoy the night and remember all the special things that happened here. Louise waited for him to continue, and then she realized he expected her to follow, so she popped her beer open and she raised it in a toast. We love you, she made herself say to the empty house. We welcome you to our table, Mark continued like he was in a play, because it's your table too. Let us share these final moments with you before you go on to your next reincarnation. Cheers. He took a sip and Louise followed his lead. Over their heads, something thumped against the attic floor. Mark looked terrified and excited, wiping beer from his chin. That's what she heard. He looked at Louise. Isn't it? That's what Mercy heard in the attic, that sound? Louise wanted to say it was squirrels, and she'd seen squirrels in their parents' bedroom earlier and had to stun them with a badminton racket, but then she remembered Poppy's future. Yeah, I guess they liked your toast, she made herself say. Mark raised his beer to the location of the thump. Welcome, he said, and then he turned the table before him and put on their dad's fake French accent. The pepper looks especially tempting tonight. The desk lamp on the counter threw the same weird, unforgiving light across Mark that it threw across the wall behind him. The skin on his neck hung loose, and his cheekbones and jawline were buried beneath poorly shaven excess weight. His thinning hair stuck out in all directions. The pair of jackpot cherries tattooed on the side of his neck looked tired. Oh, what a terrible tattoo to have. No good. The food looked cheap and greasy. With only two of them there, the house felt cold and empty, and Louise realized that this would be the last time she'd ever eat a meal at this table. This was probably the last time she'd ever eat a meal with her brother. When this was over, they would drift apart and the Joyner family would be over. But her family wouldn't. She would always have Poppy. So, what happens now? Louise asked, and Mark slid his Hawaiian pizza from the middle of the stack and flipped it open and pulled out a slice. Well, I don't know. Mom and Dad will show us, he said, using chopsticks to pile pork lo mein on top of his pizza. Our job is to be open to whatever happens. I agree, Avery. It is the weirdest, craziest book we've ever read. Yeah. Mark folded his slice of pizza around the lo mein like a taco and brought it to his mouth. A few brown strands of noodle hang out, glistening with grease. They jiggled like worms as Mark took an enormous bite. It's good, he said through a mouthful of food, and Louise made herself try a piece of radioactive sweet and sour pork. As a kid, this had made her mouth water, but now it tasted like soggy breading in a sauce that came from a jar. She swallowed as quickly as she could, but it left a wax coating on the inside of her mouth. So, how do we know if Mom and Dad's souls move on tonight? Louise asked. What's our metric for success? Mark picked barbecue chicken strips off of his pizza. A haunting doesn't necessarily indicate the survival of human souls after bodily death, he said, chewing. There's a stone tape theory of hauntings which says that powerful emotional experiences leave permanent traces behind. There's the basic thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So what happens to energy generated by intense emotional experiences? I mean, it gotta go somewhere. That's just science. Louise couldn't help it. When people used the words science and magic interchangeably, her skin bristled. Well, what kind of energy is that? Louise asked. Magnetic, electric, or kinetic? Or some other kind of California energy that no one's seen in a lab but is inside us and in the redwoods and every form of life on Mother Earth? Well, you're very threatened by new ideas, Mark said, taking a slug of his beer. But people leave behind traces of themselves after they die. Art collections, junk you gotta clean out of their house, emotional problems they inflict on their kids. Why do you think they can't also leave behind energy? We grew up here. Mom grew up here. This house has been a repository for our family's emotional energy for decades. Louise felt herself wanting to argue, so she switched gears. She had to stay calm and convince him that their parents' ghosts were laid to rest. Before she could try a new approach, Mark said, You know she forgives you, right? Who? Louise had been taken off guard. One reason our house is haunted might be all your unresolved anger toward Mom, he said. Wait, Louise said sharper than she intended. You think this is my fault? Well, I mean, there's a tradition, Mark said. Supernatural phenomena often materialize around sexually repressed women. Carrie, the haunting of the house on the hill. I am not sexually repressed, Louise said, and I don't want to talk about my sex life with you either. That's because you're repressed, Mark said. I offered to stay tonight because I thought it would be good for you. I'm hoping it gives you some closure. Before Louise could react, her phone alarm went off. It was 7 o'clock, time to check in with Poppy. She made herself stand up. Sexually repressed, unresolved anger? She had to stay calm. I have to call my daughter, she said, walking to the front door. Louise stepped out onto the front porch, and it actually felt warmer outside than it did in the house, so she texted Ian. Is Poppy ready for a FaceTime? How is she? Hey, how are you? Yeah. Stop putting your face in the thing. You can scooch over just a smidge. Just boop, boop, boop. Just boop, boop, boop over. There you go. Yeah, that's better, right? She needed to get Mark off his haunted house obsession and get him thinking good thoughts about their family. She needed to give him closure. This wasn't about science. This was about letting him let go of the past. Louise's phone screen started to dim and then it lit back up. Not a good time, Ian texted. She doesn't feel like talking to you right now and I'm not going to force her. Louise texted back instantly and her thumbs left greasy marks on her phone. What happened? Is she okay? Why doesn't she want to talk? What's the matter, honey? Are you just waking up? Yeah. Yeah, are we waking up? I know, I feel really bad for Poppy too. It's okay, you don't have to wake up on the wrong side of the mommy. You can wake up on the right side. 3 dots appeared and Louise waited, wiping her fingers on her jeans. You need to do what you say you're going to do. She's upset that you said you were coming home and then you changed your mind. Poppy needs consistency and reliability. There was a pause, and then 3 dots, and then he wrote, We had another wet night. She does have opinions about this book, Jack, it's true. Louise gripped her phone so hard that it almost shot out from between her slick fingers like a bar of soap. She didn't want to be here. She wanted to be in California. She needed to be with her daughter and not stuck in South Carolina catering to the whims of her crazy brother and her cousin. So she took a deep breath. Everyone... Really? Okay. What's the matter? We'll talk about it. What do you want to talk about? What's wrong? You're not even awake. You're just talking in your sleep? Yeah. You're just talking in your sleep? Look at mommy. You're awake. You want to come out? Do you want to come out? You can. Hi. Hi. I see your eyes. Yeah. I see you. I see you. Louise messed up when she told Poppy. Yes, she shouldn't have told her that she was going home until she had the ticket secured and it was for sure. Hi. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. We got a koala on her. Oh, no, we don't. Oh, I took the pants off that had the koala on her butt. She had a koala on her butt, but I guess it's gone now. Yeah, what else? What else? What else? What else? Tell us more. You can tell us a story. Did you dream something you want to talk about? Okay. What else happened in your dream? Yeah. Uh-huh. Secret Husband has this vision in his head, which I think is adorable. He says that he imagines that in her dreams, she can speak and communicate perfectly with us. And it's like baby talk, but we understand her, you know? That's what he thinks she dreams about. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We can go back to reading now. You seem settled. Louise gripped her phone so hard that it almost shot out between her slick fingers like a bar of soap. She didn't want to be here. She wanted to be in California. She wanted to be with her daughter, not stuck in South Carolina, catering to the whims of her brother and her crazy cousin. She took a deep breath. Everyone else can do whatever they want, say whatever they want, sell the house when they want, talk to me when they want, not talk to me when they want, but I need to stay focused. Someone has to be the adult here. She let her breath out and thought about Poppy's future, and she took another breath and held it in her lungs until it hurt, and then she let it out in a rush. I need to get Mark to sell the house, she thought. Nothing else mattered. Louise made herself breathe deeply for 30 seconds, and then she went back inside. The house felt dingy and secondhand. Whenever she'd been trying with the lamps, it hadn't worked. Everything stunk of Chinese food and melted cheese, and Louise wanted to take a shower. She wanted to go home. She wanted this to be over. Everything okay? Mark asked, chewing half an egg roll that he held delicately between his fingers. My daughter's regressing again because I'm staying here after I told her I was coming home and she doesn't want to talk to me and she's wetting the bed and I have to cater to your whims before I'm allowed to go home and see her, so no, things are not fine, is what Louise thought. But everything's great, is what she said, sitting down. Mark got up to get another beer. Why'd you run out of here yesterday? He asked from the kitchen. Louise needed to do something with her hands. She looked for anything resembling a vegetable and picked out a soggy piece of broccoli with her chopsticks. Dealing with Mom's stuff felt overwhelming, she said. I wasn't prepared. It's bringing back a lot of memories. She felt the mass of puppets down the hall, pressing against the workroom door, their eyes never closing, lying in the dark, listening to the two of them talk. She felt the dolls in the garage rustling and shifting inside their plastic bags. She felt the squirrel nativity creeping through the shadows. Mark closed the fridge and came back to the dining room. Aunt Honey, told me... Oh, sorry, wrong voice. It should not have been... Yeah, it should have been said out loud. That's true. Aunt Honey told me that Mom called the night they had the wreck, he said, edging around the table to his seat. She said that she was taking Dad to the hospital because he had been attacked. Because he had an attack, Louise corrected him, picking up shrimp and peeling off its breading. You go right ahead and trust the hearing of a 96-year-old woman in the middle of the night, Mark said, dropping into his chair, and it creaked alarmingly. But if Mom said he had been attacked, the next question is, by what? And that leads to the question we've been avoiding since we got here. Why did they board up the attic? The last bit of the breading came free, and the little pink nugget between Louise's fingers looked like an albino cockroach. She dropped it on her plate and wiped her fingers on the paper towel. Ew. Hearing it like that makes me never want to eat a piece of shrimp again. Well, I saw squirrels in their bedroom yesterday, she said. I hit them with the badminton racket and stunned a couple of them. They're probably nesting in the attic. I thought we were going to have an honest conversation about tonight, Mark said. Louise felt the conversation starting to go somewhere she didn't like, so she tried to keep it on track. That's why I left, Louise said. The squirrels just freaked me out, and I thought maybe I killed one. Mark gave a dramatic sigh. Mom and Dad won't be able to move on until the bad energy in this house is laid to rest, he said, which means you need to be honest. About what? Louise asked. About what you did, Mark said. When? She said. When we were kids, he said. What you did to me. And just like that, everything slipped out of Louise's hands. No, this isn't fair. He doesn't get to do this. What about what you did to all of us? She asked, because someone had to push back on his bullshit. When you came back from that ski trip and you started terrorizing everyone all the time, yelling and screaming and breaking my stuff and kicking a hole in Mom and Dad's wall? How many times had her mom called when she was at Berkeley, sounding on the verge of tears because Louise knew it was all Mark, but her mom always covered for him. Their entire family was always covering for him. You were a spoiled brat, Louise said, not very strategically. Who got everything handed to him on a silver platter while the rest of us had to work, and you're gonna blame me right now? You don't remember? Mark asked in an amazed voice. About what happened when we were little? I remember you terrorizing this family, Louise said. I remember you breaking my stuff all the time. I remember you fighting with Dad and spending all the money that he used to send you to college, and you dropping out the first semester and coming home and sponging off them. You've actually blocked it out, haven't you? Mark said, and she hated the pitying expression on his face. Blocked what out? Louise asked, because there was nothing to block out. You living in an apartment downtown that they paid for? Me finding Mom crying and talking to Pumpkin because you were so mean to her and she thought he was her only friend? You think I don't remember that? Wait, sorry. I read that all wrong. You've actually blocked it. We're going to go back so I can read it correctly because the scene doesn't work unless I read it correctly. My apologies. You've actually blocked it out, Mark said, and she hated the pitying expression on his face. Blocked what out? Louise asked, because there was nothing to block out. You living in the apartment downtown that they paid for, or me finding Mom crying and talking to Pumpkin because you were so mean to her and she thought he was her only friend? What is it that you think I don't remember? Why are you so mad at me? Mark asked, his voice reasonable and calm. She wanted to punch him. Is it because you feel guilty? Guilty? Louise asked. Guilty for what? For what you did to me, Mark said. I didn't do anything to you. Louise. No, she almost shouted. It is not true, she said. You are making things up. You tried to kill me, Mark said. It wasn't true. He was lying. She didn't try to kill Mark. Pumpkin did. Okay, so we need to reassess the situation here real quick. Because everyone had believed that Mark knew all along that it was haunted, but it sounds like he did not. This chapter is making it seem like he very much did not know before they got back that the house was haunted. And also, if he thinks Louise tried to kill him when they were kids and she thinks that Pumpkin tried to kill him when they were kids, it means that he very much did not know it was haunted. That's what I'm saying. Can you guys hear her snoring? Poor little thing with the stuffed up nose. She has her 2-month appointment at the doctor tomorrow, so hopefully they'll tell us how to get rid of her stuffy nose. I'm also not ready for it, Avery. I'm really not ready. Not ready. Okay, so here is the situation. The situation is this. Like I said, Secret Husband has paternity leave this week, which means I'm going to try to have a slime live every single day this week. Pumpkin is definitely jealous of Mark because he took their mom away from him. I fully believe you are right, Avery, 100%. 100% I believe that. Pumpkin had their mom for forever, and then when Mark was born, all bad for Pumpkin. I think you're right. If you are a Patreon person, Easter pre-orders should go up by the end of this week, which is good. Orders are pretty much all gonna get mailed out today, as long as they didn't have evergreens in them. And that is the whole kit and caboodle. Yeah, isn't it? I'm going back to audiobook recording live. Ooh, that's exciting. I like that. Yeah. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the other package just came too? Wow, that was fast. They all came at the same time, Liz? Weird. All right. Louise is going to have to admit the house is haunted. Yes, that is true. There are a few people on here that do that. Yeah. No, it's great. I think it's great, Roxy. One came Saturday, one came today. Oh. They're saying you're a rainbow princess. I'm so excited that everyone's packages are starting to come. It's very exciting. Pretty much the rest of them are getting mailed out today. I only have about 10 orders left to pack this morning, and then I will go to the post office and I will ask them why they closed the back gate where we put all the business packages. It's been a week of it being closed now. I stitch your gift while listening. Oh, that's so sweet of you, Roxy. So sweet. Did you say thank you? Did you say thank you? She's like, Mom, I'm asleep and I don't know how to talk. So that is true, Liz. That is the fastest in a while. All right, well, we will hopefully be back on this afternoon for a slime live where I will be making those evergreen slimes and also getting ready for the next restock. All right, bye guys. Oh, nope, that didn't work. Let's try again.